We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but gets distracted. I realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. And it's about to get worse. The IRS just hired an army of new tax enforcers. So, if you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. Optima has access to a special IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative, and their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop that army of new enforcers from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $500 million of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. Call now for your free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We alarm our houses, and we alarm our cars. But when it comes to your personal information, it can be tough to know when something isn't right. That's where Discover Card can help. Now, we'll send you an alert if we find your social security number on any one of thousands of risky websites. And this service is free for card members. Just sign up online. It's our way of looking out for you, not just your account. Learn more at discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
You think everyone's watching that show with the
1 minute
dragons and the game and the throne.
Were you
just
able
like
to get
the show,
a
that's
stuff?
fantasy. More people in America listen.
Yeah, I got all of it.
Watch that throne show. It's true. Radio reaches 93% of Americans each week. That's more than TV, Facebook, and Google. Put that in your dragon and smoke it. Radio reaches more adults in
Probably won't get to that till hour 2.
So if you're a marketer, get the most out of your marketing.
Okay.
Talk to the folks who dethrone TV. Go to
we'll get you, we got guests
iHeartMedia.com
coming.
for the
We'll get
one
you the
place
numbers
you can
here
reach
shortly.
everybody. AM, FM radio.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world.
Yeah.
They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Wounded Warrior Project provides these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight.
All right, 10 seconds.
Okay.
At no cost for life. So now it's time for a grateful nation.
Yeah, just let me know when we have when's our first guest?
10:30.
Oh, okay.
Dunc and Holder with you on a Friday, September 8th. And Jeff, do you remember yesterday how you were maybe trying to say, oh, the Saints haven't had much adversity. And I said, I think they've had a little bit of adversity.
I said distractions, not adversity.
All right, distractions. And Sean Payton gets on his conference call this morning with reporters, and another wild, unfortunate story for the player, and just another wild situation for the Saints. Look, long snapper's long snapper, but we've been chronicling this for months about just where the Saints go. It's been a revolving door. Look, we had Thomas Morstead on the show earlier this week, and he says he had to totally admit that it's been a distraction to him for all this craziness. They trade for John Dornbos from the Eagles, and now this morning, breaking news that John Dornbos, their long snapper they just traded for, needs open heart surgery. And he's going to be out. And where do the Saints go? I mean, this is, like I said, for Dornbos, this is obviously a serious situation. He's going to be on the non-football illness list, ending his season, and he's become the second player this offseason. Of course, Nick Fairley being the more famous, but this is it almost just you're taken aback by the news that this could happen, and the Saints are just probably wondering what can they do.
A lot of questions about this story. It was a pre-existing condition. Makes you wonder how it was never spotted on any physical before. John Amos, the Saints team doctor, targeted this condition, and like Sean Payton said, might have saved John Dornbaugh's life. Really, I don't understand how it could get to this point. Obviously, it's a good story because they found it early, and they're going to be able to address it for Dornbaugh's. But, 3 days before your season opener, now you're searching for a long snapper. Really kind of a crazy story. And, there was a period of time, remember when the Saints were going through all these groin injuries and the sports hernia epidemic? 2 heart conditions in one offseason. I don't think I ever remember one heart condition before. Now they've had 2.
Right. Sean Payton's quote from this morning's conference call saying this is a pretty serious condition, and not only will it require open heart surgery, it's going to require it pretty quickly. Dr. Amos is the one that discovered it and basically saved his life with his findings. So he did further tests and evaluations, and we met twice yesterday. Certainly news like this is a big alert for him. Look, you can't blame the Saints. The Saints are the ones who discovered this, and you can't. The situation is just crazy, and the fact that we've seen all these injuries, and like you said, the Nick Fairley situation, it's something that's just you're taken aback, as in like, whoa. I mean, that was my first reaction when I saw this. Whoa. That basically, what if they don't catch this? And something tragic happens on the field.
Right.
I mean, the fact that they caught it and potentially saved his life is incredible and good. Where everyone needs to be happy that this happened. But the Saints are going to be going on now. They're 6th long snapper. Seriously, 6th. The next one that comes in would be number 6 that's been in the building this offseason.
Well, we don't know. Season. We don't know if they'll bring back one of the guys they have.
True.
Chase Dominguez. I can't remember the veteran guy.
Thomas Gafford.
Yeah, we don't know who's on the market now that was cut by other teams. I'm sure they've got a ready list, but it's certainly a curveball for them, and I assume Justin Drescher is not a possibility because he was injured, right? And
he was put on injured reserve, and they gave him a settlement. And if they give him a settlement, Jeff, I'm kind of at a loss for the rules. If they give him a settlement, can he come back? I don't know. I don't think he can, right?
I don't think so.
Right.
I'd have to look at the CBA and talk to somebody that's more.
I mean, it's not like we've even really thought about this because that never happens. You never even think that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the deep snapper is not a position that you tend to worry about unless they create a problem, unless they have bad snaps. The Saints have been trying to address this position throughout the offseason. And, look, I'm sure they've got somebody in mind that they can bring in. I don't think it's a huge story yet, but we'll see on Monday night.
Well, you saw Will Lutz miss his first kick of the preseason. I can even recall in practice, much less in a game, and he was adjusting to a new snapper. And we saw problems with the kick operation last year. It was a huge problem, and that's why you've been seeing all these revolving doors at long snapper. And I guarantee you no radio show in the rest of the country will today be talking about their long snapper. None. But this has become a story because it's cost the Saints, I would say, at least 2 wins with poor kicking operations.
Yeah, and it's obviously not optimal. They're going to have to get somebody in here as quick as possible to work with Holder, Chase Daniel, and the kicking staff, or the kicking battery, if you will, Thomas Morstead and Will Lutz. But, if they can find a veteran guy that's been cut loose, these guys can somewhat be plug and play. I've seen them get injured before during seasons, and teams bring in a guy, on a few days' notice, and it's kind of a seamless transition. I think it's more of a shocking story that Dornbaugh had this condition the whole time, playing in the NFL for over a decade, and nobody discovered it. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens either. So let's be frank. Just because the Saints medical staff has been in the news with a negative light, they're not the only ones who can miss things, and they found this. So it's, and when you're making a trade, and did he pass a physical? Did he have to pass a physical when you made the trade? I guess not.
I think he did. No, I think I think they said there was a follow-up visit that they caught it. That's how they caught it.
Well, because if you don't pass a physical, you could veto the trade. So
right.
Yeah, so it's a follow-up visit, and it's but on the field, like I said, we had Thomas Morstead on earlier in the week, and he was talking about how it's been stressful for him. I'll just read his quote. I'm not surprised by anything anymore. And this is talking about Justin Drescher being let go and in the trade for Darren Boss. He says, I was very appreciative of Justin coming back. He had a couple of other options at the same kind of time frame. I was really appreciative of Coach for bringing him back. I thought they had moved on, I guess, from their search. I'd be lying if I were to say that there was zero stress in the past week or so with all the changes and what happened. Add this element to it. And I'm sure Will Lutz and Thomas Morstead, they're scrambling. And also Bradford Banta, I'm sure they're having to scramble and figure something out. And you play a game on Monday Night Football, a very important game. And like I said, the kicking operation has been suspect. And that's why normally this would not be something we're harping on for 15 minutes at the open a radio show on a Friday. But this is more significant. A, it's life-threatening, and B, because it's been a problem for the Saints.
I think I'm not ready to panic yet because I don't know who's on the market. I'm sure Terry Fontenot, the pro personnel director for the Saints, and his staff has a ready list. And there may have been somebody released in this round of cuts that will be ready to plug and play, but it's a little concerning because they're not going to have much time to turn around and get this new person in there, get them indoctrinated into the system and working together. But if there's a veteran that's been around for a while, deep snapping's deep snapping in a way. I'm not ready to panic yet, but it is a concern, there's no doubt, and everybody will be watching whoever that is in the Saints lineup on Monday night.
I think we're going to be watching anyway because, look, you say it's plug and play, but Dornboss was the fifth long snapper in here, so it's not as easy as that if you're asking me. And if you're asking Sean Payton, obviously. If you're asking Sean Payton,
you seem a little worked up about this.
It's just stunning. It takes you aback.
You are taken aback.
I'm almost like walking in the footsteps of Will Lutz right now or Thomas Morstead. Like, it's like unprecedented.
You're in deep snapper mania right now.
I can't help it. And it's because...
Did you ever care about the deep snapper before in your life? And now
I wrote a column on Justin Drescher like 2 years ago in training camp. That's the last time I cared about it. But now that it's become a revolving door, it's an issue. I mean, you have to admit it's an issue.
Well, it's a revolving door because the Saints have made it a revolving door. If they would have kept Chase Dominguez or the other guy and picked one of them, nobody would be up in arms. But because they brought in Drescher, then they had to bring in Dornboss. I mean, that's what's unusual about the situation. If they would have kept Chase Dominguez, no one would probably even be panicking right now.
Well,
especially you.
Exactly. It's panic. It really is.
It's panic.
It's panic. The long snapper. But look,
how would you? Who's got problems? Look at the New England Patriots last night. Lost their opener and lost another receiver. Who is it? They lost. Well, Dante Hightower went out, did not come back in. They lost Julian Edelman, we know, and Danny Amendola left.
That guy's always hurt, though.
Right, and he's had a history of concussions. The Kansas City Chiefs get the big win, and they lose Eric Berry, their Pro Bowl safety, and their best receiver, Tyreek Hill. So this is the way the NFL works. You got to plug and play, man. You got to move on. Next man up, as they say.
it's certainly next man up, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
Next
if you're the Saints long snapper, I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be something I'm going to be watching just because of the storyline last year. It cost them wins, plural. It cost them wins, and the Saints are going into this season with about as big of uncertainty at a very nondescript position that has become very in your face because of the situation.
I would say this. I would agree with you to this degree. I think Thomas Morstead will be fine. He's a veteran. He's adjusted over the years. Will Lutz is still kind of a nubile kicker. You know, he's been in the league for a year. I don't think he has quite the skins on the wall yet to overcome some shaky snaps. So I agree with you in that regard. As fragile as the kicking position has been here over the years, if they have a new snapper in there and this young kicker's having to adjust to it, I could see that being an issue. I think they'll be fine on punts.
Right.
You know,
I would agree there.
You know, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how Lutz adjusts. This is part of being a pro. You know.
Absolutely, and it's just when you think Will Lutz got this thing right, and he misses his first kick when Doran Boss comes in, and now Doran Boss is out for the year, and you got to hope for the best. And you put on Twitter just now, Jeff, the Saints medical staff certainly deserves credit for catching this. It's going to save this guy's life, and that's more important than everything we're talking about. But we look at it in sports terms, it does put the special teams in a bit of disarray.
Well, think of the human aspect of this. I mean, we were just talking to Dornbaugh in the locker room the other day. Here the guy is. He played in Philadelphia for close to a decade, was very rooted in the community, met his wife there, heavily involved in a number of ways, was one of the most popular players in the Eagles locker room. And then out of nowhere, he gets traded to New Orleans, is on a flight a day later down to a city he's really not familiar with, into a locker room he knows nobody on, and here he is trying to get immersed into a new team, find his way to the, as Sean Payton always says, find his way around the facility where the meeting rooms are. He's in a hotel probably, and then this comes up. I mean, his life has been turned upside down in a matter of days. It just shows you how crazy life can be, and you have to think of the human aspect of these things. These players oftentimes, because they're faceless with helmets on, we tend to think of them as, I don't know, Madden game people, Madden or fantasy
football. Fantasy, right.
Fantasy
These
football.
Are real people.
These are real human beings, and John Dornbaugh should be where our thoughts are at right now.
Absolutely. So never thought I'd get so worked up. Literally, we talked for 15 minutes, and I have not calmed down. I have not calmed down.
You need a little Country Fried Friday to, relax you a little bit, I think.
You know what? I do need Country Fried Friday. You know what? I'm going to embrace it today. What the heck? There are worse things that happen in the world, and I'll embrace Country Fried Friday.
Thank you.
There you go, Dave.
Welcome to the fold.
Dave rocking the tune.
The dark side.
All it took was a poor guy almost losing his life, and thankfully the Saints are going to help that situation, and yet they still don't have a long snapper. I don't know.
We got to talk about this Patriots game too. I mean, that was a crazy game last night.
Alex Smith is now Joe Montana. I don't know how he pulled that off, but yeah, we'll be talking about that. Lots of guests coming up in the show. We're going to have Jimmy Smith, our high school recruiting expert. We're going to talk with him each Friday to kind of get who's visiting where each weekend. A lot of people love their recruiting news. We'll also talk with Jim Derry, our preps guru. He'll be breaking down the high school football weekend. And, oh, by the way, Adrian Peterson is returning to Minnesota. Have you heard? So we're going to go talk to a guy who covered him for the Vikings for a long time, Mark Craig of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. He's going to be on around 11:30.
And potentially some big soccer news we can tease. I'm getting the tease thing down.
Good job, Jeff. There we go here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Let's kick it off!
Your shot at a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival now. Text the keyword shop to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info, standard data, and message rates apply. That's shop to 200-200.
The second annual Wine on the River is Saturday, November 11th at Audubon Aquarium Plaza. Tickets on sale now at NOLA.com, with proceeds benefiting the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation. Presented by Southern Glazers, WGNO, and NOLA 38.
Low prices every day.
Nifty Car Rental. Best rates, best service, and best vehicles. Free pickup, delivery, and drop-off. 504-525-4551. Be Nifty. Call Nifty.
Low prices every day.
I don't know what
Bad
makes you
theater
not good.
seats, cheap
Like,
Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
All right, 2 minutes.
Owner, you're always on the go. So how can you make sure you never miss a customer's call? Grasshopper. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a business phone system. That's right. Grasshopper turns your cell phone into a business phone system that's affordable and incredibly easy to use. Get a toll-free or vanity phone number that's memorable and professional. Customers are forwarded to your phone and connected to you or your team wherever you are. And with our app, your outgoing calls and texts show up as your professional phone number. We'll transcribe your voicemails and send them to your email so you can determine their importance at a glance. So whether you're always on the go, or working from home and need to keep business calls separate, or you simply want a professional tone, Grasshopper makes it happen. Set up your account in just minutes. There are no long-term contracts, and support is 24/7. Get your calls, stay connected, thrive. Now get $20 off your plan when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. Grasshopper.com/radio.
iHeartRadio on with Elsie Ballerina.
The best part about being on the road is probably getting to go explore places. I definitely get homesick, but I also love getting home at the end of a long run and just feeling like I got to share my music and, you know, just that feeling of accomplishment.
Presented by Glade. Make life on the road an adventure with new Glade plug-in car. Pick one up at your nearest retailer or visit Glade.com to learn more.
We interrupt your broadcast to bring you this, a phenomenon from Wendy's that can only be described as a giant junior bacon cheeseburger. A delicious anomaly doubling the size and taste of Wendy's iconic junior bacon cheeseburger. Double the bacon, double the cheese, and good heavens, double the fresh, never frozen beef. And what's this? A Wendy's giant junior bacon cheeseburger with nuggets, fries, and a drink for
10 seconds.
Run to your nearest Wendy's.
Participating Wendy's for a limited time. Meal includes small fries and a drink. Not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
You know well I'm a chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night.
This
a
is
pair of
Dunc
jeans
and
that fit
Holder
just
on
right.
Sports 1280
and the
New
radio.
Orleans.
I almost need like a chicken fried steak to calm me down, even though that's probably not the best for your internal organs. But hey, I need something.
This is just a relaxing song. You have to be relaxed now. You have to feel good about the Saints long snapper situation now.
I do not feel good about the situation. I feel better about their defense as a whole than I do the long snapper situation. That tells you something.
Wow. What about Max Unger? Somebody brought it up on YouTube. Could Max Unger handle deep snaps?
I really have no idea.
I think they said he was the emergency deep snapper.
You would think he'd have to be. I mean, he's the center.
Right. But it's a whole different technique. I don't know if I'd want to throw him in there at this point.
No.
They could bring back Kevin Hauser. I'm sure he still has the ability.
Yeah, but he still cost too many people too many dollars on movie tax credits. Was that what it was? Yes. Hollywood South gone sour.
Well, I looked up on the NFL cuts list during the break, and there was like 7 or 8 long snappers that have been cut loose from NFL camps. So somebody there, I'm sure that they'll get video on and get our scouting report on and bring them in. They might even have like tryouts, deep snapper tryouts.
I would think they would bring in a few guys to have workouts, yeah. But you got to do it now. I mean, aren't they leaving for Minnesota tomorrow?
Yes.
They're leaving a day early to get up there and go through the stadium, and so, yeah, they're leaving a day early. But you got to get this thing resolved now.
Yes.
I'm still not. No, we're still talking about it. Now I'm back in a panic. Look what you made me do.
You are. I can feel your blood pressure rising.
I don't know.
From right here across the desk. It's crazy.
It is. It is a little bit crazy. But look, you mentioned Max Unger, though. At least he's healthy. He spoke with the media Wednesday and ready to go. And look, we had an interview with Larry Warford. We played on the show yesterday, and he understands there's going to be some adjustment time. But you put Max Unger back in the lineup on your offensive line, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself. And everyone is going to be circling, though, Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, there's no question. Vikings are going to be targeting him. The Saints are probably going to have to come up with a game plan, and if he's having some trouble, if you put a tight end over there. So that's going to be – and you look at all these other rookies. I mean, they're going to have spotlights all on them, and you could easily see as many as 5 or 6 playing significant snaps. But Trey Hendrickson, if he goes, he's been on the injury report, so we'll see. But, look, you can talk Kamara, Anzalone. We know Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, and Marcus Williams may be the starter at free safety. So all of these guys are going to be under the spotlight.
Hendrickson under the weather, and you and I were talking to, I think, Thomas Morstead the other day. He's been sick. I have a couple of friends in town that are really over 100 temperatures right now. I don't know if it's going around New Orleans or what, but it's certainly hit the Saints as well. Hendrickson, who I talked to on Wednesday, did not sound like he was looking forward to playing. He was looking forward to playing, but he was definitely sick and not feeling well. So we'll see how that affects. They have the extra day to recover, and I'm sure they get a lot of fluids. But this illness, whatever it is that's going around New Orleans, it's a weird time for it to be going around. We usually get this stuff late in the football season, not early on.
Yeah, Morstead and his professional diagnosis, I helped him determine what he had. The crud. The wife, he's like, the kids are sick. My wife's fine, but I'm sick, and it's like, nope, it's the kids going back to school, the petri dish that is preschool or kindergarten or whatever, and you get sick. And so I think it is going around. But the injury report is pretty light considering for the Saints. Those who didn't practice yesterday were Teron Armstead, which he's going to end up on that list probably the first month of the season, so be prepared. Dornbos was on the list as an illness. Trey Hendrickson was an illness. Nate Stupar with the hamstring. Remember, he left the Texans game with the injury, and he didn't practice yesterday. Limited practice was Stephon Anthony with his ankle injury and Chase Daniel with the ankle injury. So it is, relatively speaking, pretty clean bill of health for the guys you anticipate are going to be playing on Monday.
Yeah, they've done a good job of managing that. Sean Payton always wants to go into that first game at full strength. And, you were talking earlier about the number of rookies that might play. I think if anybody watched the game last night and watched Kareem Hunt's breakout game, you could feel pretty good about the chances of playing a bunch of rookies. Kareem Hunt fumbles his first carry as an NFL player. He didn't fumble once at the University of Toledo in 4 years, or didn't lose a fumble. He fumbled once and recovered it himself. And then he fumbles on his first carry on Thursday night football in front of the entire nation, and Kansas City dodges a bullet, and then the kid comes back and has a historical performance. I think the most yards from scrimmage by a rookie ever in NFL history, and just a shocking comeback for Kansas City. And New England now is in an 0-1 hole. In my picks column today, Larry, history is not on the Patriots' side. The 51 Super Bowl champions in the Super Bowl era of the NFL have gone 41-9-1 in their opening game. So it's history is against the Patriots from rallying and trying to win the Super Bowl.
I know even when the Saints, they came out and played a sluggish opener in 2010 against the Vikings, they still got it done, though. And you think about Super Bowl winning teams, like New England has become this juggernaut, but it's hard to even get back to the postseason. I know the Giants have had issues. It's not like the Steelers put like back-to-back great seasons together. It is a challenge, and even though the Saints in 2010, when they had the beast mode, beast quake, whatever you want to call it, they became infamous for that. The fact that they made it back to the playoffs, were 11-5, And that is not easy to do. And maybe this is the time where New England takes a dip. Jeff, do you think?
Well, here's some stats.
I don't know.
Here's some stats I'll read off from my column today, my NFL picks column, provided by the NFL. Teams that win their season openers are more than twice as likely to reach the playoffs than losers of their opening games. Since 1978, and excluding the strike-shortened 1982 season, 297 of the 570 teams, that's 52%, that won their season openers advanced to the playoffs that season. Of those, 179 went on to win the divisions. Only 137 of the 571 teams that lost their openers made the playoffs. Now, even further than that, just starting strong, which is the subject of, I think, your column this weekend, 9 of the 12 playoff teams last season won their opening game. And during the past decade, the teams with the highest winning percentage during the first month of the season, the Patriots, Broncos, Cowboys, Packers, Ravens, and Cardinals, all have a winning percentage of 600 or better during the first month of the season. They've combined for 37 playoff berths, 9 Super Bowl appearances, and 5 Super Bowl titles in the last decade.
Jeff, can I just copy and paste your info and just put it in my column and saying, this is why it's a must-win? And just look at the Saints' history. This is why this is a must-win game for the Saints. They have not provided me enough history to think otherwise. Outside of 2011, every year they lose the first game, they don't make the playoffs under Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I mean, that's just a fact.
And when they've won their opening game, they've gone on to go 10-6, 8-8, 13-3, 11-5, 11-5.
Must win. The end. You just did it. You just did it.
I know. But the one caveat in this, the Patriots, the one team that's managed to overcome this. In 2001, they lost their opener and ended up winning the Super Bowl. In 2003, they lost their opener. So of the 9 teams that have done it and been Super Bowl champions, they've done it twice recently.
They're New England. They're like a different breed.
Right.
So let's take a quick break right here on the show. And when we get back, we'll be talking a little Preps football. 10:45, we'll have Jim Derry on the show, and he'll break down this weekend's slate of games. And also 11:30, Mark Craig from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune will talk Adrian Peterson's return to the Vikings. You'll also hear from Drew Brees in the show. He spoke to the media yesterday. We'll bring you what he had to say on a variety of subjects. And we got our college pick'em segment. It's time for, of course, as soon as Clyde walks in the door, it's college.
Yeah, dog, absolutely.
Oh my God,
ready to go. Yeah, I wanted to miss this whole part of like Jeff gloating and being all, oh hey, who picked Chiefs +9? Hey, the NFL rules. Blah blah blah.
Just saying.
I don't want to hear it.
1-0.
Yeah.
I'm 0-1. Easy. There we go. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Hey, Dave, this next segment is going to be pretty quick.
By McDonald's.
Because I want to get Jim on by like 10:45, so we're probably going to be like a couple minutes.
We're expecting. Okay.
Cool. All right.
All right. So what's the order? We got Jim Derry at what 10:45, and then what's what?
So again,
then Mark Craig is at 11:30. I will forward you his number
Wins
now.
at about 150.
All right. And what about Jimmy Smith?
We can't get a hold of him. I don't know what his deal is, so we're just going to move. Like, I would have had him there.
If he texts me back, Dave, we'll pick a time and I'll let you know.
Tell him to go to hell. He can't get on the Dunc and Holder schedule. He can't get on at all.
Big time enough, man.
Limited time. McDonald's.com/app for details.
Oh, Clyde, turn your mic down. You're too loud.
All right, turn down Clyde's mic.
Or don't scream into it.
Well, he did dive into it and looked like he ate it. Because he just came into the room. He had like a meeting or something.
And looking great. Revolution Wear totally reimagined men's underwear. It's the only brand to feature a mesh pouch and patented Frigo Zone ventilation to keep you cool, dry, and comfortable. They don't pinch, pull, or restrict. Plus, you'll get some nice double takes when wearing them. Try them for yourself.
Yeah,
Buy Frigo online at revolutionwear.com.
We'll just talk a couple minutes and then I'm going to go to break. Because I want to give Derry some time.
Sure.
When I think of the soul of a child who has died, I picture a butterfly so beautiful and brave. I ask myself, is this a child I could have saved?
I'm Lynn Bozoff, president of the National Meningitis Association. After I lost my son to bacterial meningitis, I learned vaccines might have prevented it. Visit nmaus.org to learn how to protect your preteens and teens.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. And it's about to get worse. The IRS just hired an army of new tax enforcers. So, if you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. Optima has access to a special IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative.
All right, 1 minute.
Are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop that army of new enforcers from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options.
Jimmy
Optima
posted a
is
story
A-rated with the
14
Better
minutes
Business
ago.
Bureau. Optima
Maybe
has
he was
already
working on
resolved
that.
over $500 million of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. Call now for your free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The sound drop from Pepsi. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Khalid.
Send me your location
Location was definitely geared towards this girl. She was so dope, so I wrote the song kind of as like a hint for the prom season coming up. I don't know if I won Prom King because of this song, but I won Prom King, which was super awesome. It's crazy to just think about how many
5 seconds
and connect with a song like that. Find out more at thesounddrop.com.
Spend $48. It's your home. This is where you talk to home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Duncan Holder back at you from our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios at the foot of Canal Street. And Jeff, a few weeks ago, we had Jay Cicero on from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, and we were talking a little soccer. And you have a post on NOLA.com right now that it will extend the story. So, Jeff, what's going on?
Well, the latest update, U.S. Soccer released yesterday. If you remember the initial story, U.S. Soccer invited a bunch, like about 50 American cities and North American cities to bid on the 2026 World Cup. And it's not just one site. This is a North American united bid. So there'll be a number of cities involved. As many as 12 could be involved in hosting matches of the 2026 World Cup.
So this would be Mexico, the United States, and Canada.
Correct.
Right.
So there are 41 of those 50 cities that were invited to bid have now submitted official bids, including New Orleans. So New Orleans is in that number of 32 U.S. cities and 41 North American cities that have officially submitted bids to U.S. Soccer to be considered among the united bid for the World Cup. The matches would be held in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And the next step now is for the bid committee to review the bid submissions, and they will pare down the list to about 25 finalists. I think finalist is the correct word, in the fall. And then there'll be another bid process, and by March, they'll be winnowed down again.
And we know how those guys do it at the Sports Foundation. I'm sure their bids are going to be exceptional. Probably, I would assume, the best on the table. And that's why New Orleans is always in the running for these events. But, yeah, and we talked with Jay a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't sure if they had ever had, say, a indoor facility host, but they did. The last time the World Cup was in the United States, it was in Detroit, and it was in the old Pontiac Silverdome. And so then they said they were going to grow grass indoors and make it happen for as long as they can. And Clyde, I see you're thankfully for Clyde, he is our soccer guru.
Yes,
all this
right,
guy tweets, he loves soccer.
Which, by the way, shout out, Premier League returns back this week after the national break.
Turn off his mic.
Shout out to Everton.
I'm done.
No, guys, this is, and don't forget, the Superdome, I mean, it's a great test run. The U.S. Women's National Team will be playing here in October. So, a really nice test run. And going to your point, Larry, the biggest thing now, especially with both the men's and women's game, especially for the Men's World Cup, the U.S. hosts the Gold Cup almost every summer or biannually. So they're hosted NFL stadiums, and they're particularly hosted indoor stadiums where now places like the Alamo Dome and places that have artificial turf, now they bring in natural grass, and they either lay that over the artificial surface, or they go and grow it themselves, like, obviously Houston, the Alamo Dome, other places like that. So it's not impossible, and then that can obviously only help, because then you're playing on a natural grass surface, which is exactly what FIFA wants to do, and then it makes sure, especially with a 70,000 seat stadium, New Orleans looks pretty good.
Clyde can stay because he brought all kinds of information that I would not have known. So, Clyde, you're good again. Good job.
Thank you.
What I didn't understand in the story, the release from U.S. Soccer said all stadiums are required to have at least 40,000 seats for group stage matches and a capacity of at least 80,000 to be considered for the opening match and the final. The Superdome for NFL games seats 72,000, but it can be rigged to go over 80. I know it does for the Sugar Bowl, I believe, for some of the college events, and for the Super Bowl it has different seating capacity. What I didn't understand is some of these other stadiums, international stadiums, are less than 40,000. Ottawa submitted a bid, TD Place Stadium, capacity 24,341.
Do the Chargers play there?
It's just weird. I don't understand. Canada is another one, Regina, Canada, Mosaic Stadium, 30,000. So they've got kind of all kinds of different stadiums and venues that could be part of this bid package. In other words, if it's called a united bid, there could be a number of cities. There could be 2 in Canada, 2 in Mexico, 6 or 7 or 8 in America. It'll be interesting to see if North America wins the bid, because it's actually a united bid.
And, of course, this is a global story, so we're going to keep tabs on this and bring you an update later on in the fall. So when we come back here on Dunc and Holder, Jim Derry, preps guru for NOLA.com and the Times Picayune, is going to jump on the show. You do not want to miss everything he has to say about this weekend's prep football game. So we'll have Jim on here next, here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app for Dunc and Holder.
There you go. That was for you, Clyde.
He can't hear it.
Action
He doesn't have a headset.
Come back in! I don't have a headset, so I can't hear what he's saying. I don't care. Chicken crap outfit you guys running over there.
No headset. People should be flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, literally.
This is Tulane football. Tulane and Navy. This Saturday from Annapolis. Live coverage begins at 1:30 on your home for the Wave.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
All right, I thought I had Jim Derry's number, but I don't.
All right, I'll forward it to you.
Everyone you know, your kid's teacher, the neighbor, the coffee guy. Hey, you're doing it right now. I'm talking about listening to radio. Radio is huge, and radio ads like this connect with 93% of Americans a week. That's bigger than TV, Facebook, and Google. So if you're a marketer, with radio, you reach more of who you want. More boomers.
Hey, just read it. Just read it out to me.
So get to iHeartMedia.com for the one
okay,
place everyone is.
232-9944.
Come on, everyone's doing it.
iHeartRadio.
All right, we got about a minute, 15 seconds.
All your favorite stations, all free. Need a break from the world? Open the iHeartRadio app. Pick a song, a playlist, an artist, or even a podcast, and immerse yourself in your own personal getaway space. Sometimes you just need to tune out the world. So tune in to iHeartRadio. Download or open the free iHeartRadio app today.
Man, he's not answering yet.
Time to shop at Macy's.
Something special going on?
That's it. Specials. Hundreds of them.
Hundreds of specials?
Yeah, I got his voicemail.
You, me, the kids, jewelry, shoes.
Anything special for the...
30 seconds.
It's for every room. Electrics, too.
Update on Jimmy Smith.
With our Macy's Carter Savings Pass.
Okay, let's go.
You're coming?
Well, yeah.
Just get in the car.
It's time to shop at Macy's.
All right, what was Jim Derry's number again?
I'm looking it up for you, bud.
Engineer. There's an elder in Uganda
232-9944
to call his own. No two dreams are the same. Help one person achieve theirs at unbound.org.
The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land on which they live.
The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to establish permanent sanctuaries. To learn more, call 1-800-729-SAVE or visit wildlifelandtrust.org.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National
He's not answering.
Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, I walk into the room.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Like the horns on my Silverado grill.
Welcome back to the show on a Friday, Country Fried Friday. I'm already getting an angry email. I've gotten it already from our Country Fried Friday hater in Jackson, Todd T. And doesn't sound like he's happy that I'm like trying to embrace it.
Todd T needs to get with the program.
Yeah.
Literally.
We don't need negativity on a Friday.
It's a beautiful day in New Orleans. We got great country music in the background. It cannot be any better. Long snapper derby going on. They probably got like 20 people out Airline Drive right now, bent over, snapping balls to Morstead.
Now I'm panicked again. Now I'm panicked again. So maybe to make me less panicked is Jim Derry, our preps guru from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune.
Who started Country Fried Friday.
He started Country Fried Friday.
So he deserves that recognition every time he comes on.
What you talking about, Willis?
Uh-oh.
I think David started.
I'm excited it's Country Fried Friday. I'm so excited that I didn't hear the phone ring.
I know. What's up with that? If you were watching us on YouTube, I was giving some angry arms, and Jeff was pointing and laughing at me. I'm like, Jim, where are you? But you're on the call here. And, Jim, big matchups. What do we got this week?
Well, we got our second weekend of games, and this week we got a doubleheader. Regis Radiator, NOLA.com, pro football games of the week. We got De La Salle and St. Augustine tonight, and a big non-conference, non-district matchup that features an old Catholic League rivalry. And then tomorrow night we will have Brother Martin facing off against Warren Easton, who we had the Warren Easton Eagles last week, who looked really dominant. So two big games tonight, two big games this weekend, one tonight, one tomorrow, and both start at 7 o'clock. We'll be on at 6:45 on NOLA.com.
Well, coming off of last week, what are your impressions of some of the results last week and going into this week? I mean, any surprises, or is anyone maybe playing better than you thought going into weekend number 2?
Well, I guess they shouldn't have been a surprise, but I think Carr, being as dominant as they were, going up to St. Paul's, and St. Paul's played pretty bad. They had 4 turnovers, but 5 turnovers actually. But the defending state champs in 4A lost a ton of talent, lost a ton of senior leadership. They lost a quarterback that had been a 4-year starter in Alden Clark that was just a fantastic football player. And I thought they would struggle, but they didn't look like the Carr fans were telling me I was wrong, and the Carr coaches were telling me I'm wrong. And it's only one game, but they look to be pretty good last week. So maybe I did get them wrong a little bit. And then Warren Easton, even though we have them ranked really high, they just look incredible. And it looks like it's going to be, to me, Warren Easton and Carr in 4A, at least around the city. And that definitely could end up being a dome matchup.
Jim Derry, join us right here on Dunc and Holder, our preps guru for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. I'm going through your predictions, and I'm looking at with Barb and Riverside. You told me how Riverside may be one of the best teams in the state, period, and they're not. Yeah. They're going up against the big boys. I mean, Barb's a big 5A school. They play Rummel next week as well, and they're not messing around.
They aren't messing around, and they aren't letting anybody score on them, and they're just doing whatever they want to do, and they're doing it against really good football teams. So we're going to find out a lot about them, maybe not as much this week because even though Barb won big against Ponchatoula last week, I think Ponchatoula is really down. So, but next week, I mean, Riverside and Rummel, it doesn't, if they can play really well and beat Rummel, who I consider to be right now, the second best team in the metro area to John Curtis. If Riverside can beat Rummel, then they're just going to steam through the rest of the season. You might as well end it now. They're going to be the Division III champs again. They are that good. So
JD,
would be fun to watch, and if go out to Joe Yenny Stadium next Saturday night, week from Saturday night, and see Riverside and Rummel play.
JD, I was going to ask you, some of these local teams are playing more like out-of-state competition. I know that's kind of been a trend in the last few years. Is there any reason for that? Are they just looking for better competition, or is it TV related? I'm curious about that.
No, I think if you notice, a lot of it is Catholic schools that do this, and a lot of this is a whole nother story for a whole nother show, because it'll take a whole show to talk about it. But a lot of it is the non-select schools don't want to play Catholic schools because of the split, and sometimes vice versa. So a lot of the big schools, the Curtises, the Rummels, they actually have trouble filling their non-district schedule, so they go play teams from out of state. It's as simple as that, really. And we have this big divide in the state of Louisiana, and everybody thinks they're being treated unfairly. And so if they can't fill a spot, they just go play, Gulfport or Escambia seems to be the main targets from out of state, because they seem to be willing to play the big boys over here.
And am I mistaken that the Rummel-Escambia game was canceled because of Irma? I think I saw that.
I actually did not hear that. You're breaking news.
Maybe I am.
I did not hear that.
Let me Larry breaks news all the time.
Let me look at Rummel's Twitter feed here.
I mean, he's
yes,
all over
it has
the place.
been canceled due to hurricane.
Well, I knew they didn't have school today. I knew Escambia did not have school today.
Okay.
That all schools in Florida are closed today and Monday, but that's kind of a surprise, considering that Pensacola is going to be a long way away from Irma. But okay. No Rummel or Escambia.
So there you go.
But one thing, Dunc, that they did change this year, the LHSA, actually to sort of help the Catholic schools who do play a lot of out-of-state schools. If you played an out-of-state school, it was almost counted in the power ratings like you didn't play anyone. And they did change that this year to make it so when you do play an out-of-state school, that you do get credit for it. You get credit for whatever classification they're in, and their state, it ends up, they try to make it as equal as they can, so you don't get hosed anymore. So you actually may see even more of playing teams from out of state in the near future.
So Curtis is playing Grayson, Georgia. They're a national power, I take it?
Grayson, Georgia is actually ranked in the top 10 by almost every high school service that does that sort of thing. They're ranked 4th by Max Prep. So, talk about Riverside not being scared to play anybody. Curtis is the same way. They're a school that's playing in 5A that really has 2A enrollment, and now they're going to play the 4th-ranked team in the country. So Curtis has actually been ranked somewhere between 15 and 50, depending on where you look at it. But if they win this football game, John Curtis will become probably a top 10 nationally ranked team.
All right, Jim, before we let you go, one more time, give our listeners the lineup for this weekend, where you will be play-by-play man, stat keeper, cheerleader, watcher. You're like the eyes and ears for everyone, and you got to pay attention to it all.
I do, and I have I have a little bit more help this year than I've had in the past. Mike Labradette is my color analysis guy tonight for De La Salle and St. Aug. The big one tonight, the first ever prep game at Yulman Stadium, will be on the air at 6:45 on NOLA.com. And then tomorrow night, Honville coach Nick Saltafamaggio on with me, live from Ted Gormley. It is Brother Martin and Warren Easton, again, starting at 6:45 tomorrow night. We're not just doing the games. We're also updating you about everything that's going on around the metro area, prep-wise at the time. So join us, and we'll have a game for you and a 3-hour update session all at the same time.
Awesome. Well, Jim, appreciate it, and we will chat with you same time, same channel. Just have your phone on next week.
Thanks, gentlemen. I'm waiting for the music.
Well, you might have to wait a minute or two, but it's coming. Country Fried Friday is coming. All right, Jim Derry. Appreciate the time as always. That's Jim Derry of NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, our prep guru. And, yeah, that's an interesting thing, though, what Jim said. And Jim's right. You could do prep, select versus non-select all the time, but it is whenever you see, say, Curtis or Rummel play an out-of-state opponent, you assume it's some powerhouse, and that's what Curtis is doing this weekend.
Well, I'm just kind of confused why they're playing this game in Shreveport.
Maybe just because it's a big. Are they playing it at the Independence Bowl?
Independence Bowl, but why go all the way to Shreveport when you're a New Orleans school playing a Georgia school? Makes very little sense. I'm sure they wanted to play a neutral site, but
is it on TV? Is it on like ESPN? I don't know.
I don't know, but this is interesting. Grayson last week beat Hoover, Alabama. They were ranked number 1 in Alabama. Grayson is considered the number 1 team in Georgia, and of course Curtis is number 1 in Louisiana. So it's almost like a Southern high school Super Bowl.
Well, Jamal Brown thought I went to Hoover High because he said I had Bama bangs, and he asked if I was on the football for 2-a-days or whatever that show
30 seconds
on MTV way
I
back
love
when.
Jamal Brown. I always love talking to him.
He also accused me of stealing their playbook for the national championship game and giving it to LSU. So Jamal Brown sometimes can be a little crazy.
20.
Our number 1 is up. Our number 2 is on the way. We'll get to some recruiting news, where the top prospects are going to be across the state this week. We'll have Jimmy Smith coming up next here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Caviar, no, don't bear your own. But as far as I can see,
when you work as hard as you do, you deserve to sleep harder every night. That's why Mattress Firm is extending its Labor Day sale through Tuesday, and all mattresses are still on sale.
Yeah, that's a good
idea. Mattresses starting at $99.99 and get over 50% off.
But make sure you have LSU and Tulane. You can find an LSU
Get a free adjustable base with select purchases only at Mattress Firm. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/circulars. Product offers and prices may vary by
I got you, dude.
Did you know that creating a realistic budget is one of the first steps out of the foreclosure process? I'm John Hope Bryant, the founder and CEO of Operation Hope. Let one of our HUD-certified counselors
for some reason
the process of
Auburn,
helping
Clemson.
you save your home. For 20 years and 2 million customers and clients, we've helped people help themselves. Go to our Mortgage Hope Crisis Hotline, online at operationhope.org, or call one of our counselors at 888-388-HOPE. That's 888-388-4673.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Darius Rucker, not Hootie.
Fox Sports trending now.
Breaking this morning in a move that the league hopes will cover up some of its past mistakes. The NFL has suspended free agent and former Giants kicker Josh Brown for 6 games, possibly to suggest a consistency of penalty for the Ezekiel Elliott case. Speaking of which, we will learn more about his season by the end of the day, as Judge Amos Mazant will rule in the NFLPA's motion for a restraining order today. If the judge sides with the union and Elliott, he would be eligible to play until the case is decided in court. If he does not, well, Zeke will sit weeks 2 through 8. Of course, Hurricane Irma, everyone in Florida on edge because of it, and that translates to the world of sports. Dolphins and Buccaneers, that game's been pushed back to Week 11. Now games for Florida State, Florida, and UCF have all been canceled. I'm Ralph Irvin.
We are Fox Sports.
When you work as hard as you do,
that's actually
you deserve
All right, 4 minutes, guys.
every night. That's why Mattress Firm is extending its Labor Day sale through Tuesday, and all mattresses are still on sale, like Hampton and Rhodes Queen mattresses starting at $99.99.
I couldn't read your handwriting. I was like, I got nothing. I was not prepared.
Just $299.99. Plus, through Tuesday, get a free adjustable base with
anyone
select
surprise
purchases
you?
only at Mattress Firm. For offer details, visit
do something. Help me out. I'm drowning. I just do it your course.
Here's a
I'm
little
drowning.
fiction masqueraded as facts. Did you know that banks don't give loan modifications just because you're paying your mortgage loan late? A lot of people believe this,
I got nothing.
but it's wrong. I'm John Hope Bryant, the founder of Operation Hope. Let us help you negotiate your lender, in a logical way with a HUD-certified counselor for free to save your home today. Call 888-388-HOPE today or visit our website for more tips at OperationHope.org.
No, we don't. That's why we have him on.
You have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure you don't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. Yep, bugs in Louisiana are serious business. I want an experienced professional to protect my home and family, so I trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 50 years. We earn the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise, and we stand behind our guarantee of 100% satisfaction. Your home is probably your largest investment. You want to shield it from termites, roaches, ants, mosquitoes, and other pests. J&J Exterminating is Louisiana's largest independently owned pest control company. Our technicians are licensed and state certified, and we know what works in Louisiana's climate. Protect your home. Get the Shield.
Call him today, make pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car, and I want to talk to you about air. That's right, air. It makes a huge difference to your tires. Properly inflated tires improve gas mileage, promote safety, and help tires last longer. So be tire smart and do your part. Check tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. And it's about to get worse. The IRS just hired an army of new tax enforcers. So if you...
All right, we got Jimmy.
The best thing you can do is...
Got about 45 seconds.
He has access to a special IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop that army of new enforcers from targeting you. But don't lie. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over a half...
Feel like I should get some Frozen queued up for you, Larry. Let it go, let it go.
I can't do it. 798-2477. That's 800-798-2477.
Let it go. Let it go. That dude is bat crap crazy.
Some restrictions.
All right, here we go.
Please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hour number 2 of Dunc and Holder at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios in the Canal Place 32nd floor, because our bottom floor is 31. So top of the building, foot of Canal Street. Hour number 2. Hour number 1, look, had Jim Darion talking prep sports. We had some soccer news. We had me panicking about the Saints long snapper situation. And if you missed any of it, any of the Country Fried Friday jams as well, you can listen to us on our podcast on sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and our YouTube live stream as we're up right now. You can check that out afterwards. And joining us right here on the show, we just like we have Jim Darion every Friday, we want to make this our Friday tradition with Jimmy Smith, our NOLA.com Times-Picayune recruiting expert. And Jimmy, me and Jeff were talking during the break, and I know, Jeff, you wanted to jump into a question right away, and it has nothing to do with a specific recruit, but just some things that could be in the works here with the NCAA and transfers.
Yeah, Jimmy, I wanted to ask you about that rule that at least it's being considered that the NCAA is going to allow transfers, immediate eligibility. This seems like a possibility of a total quagmire if that happens. What are the restrictions on this, and are there going to be limitations to some degree if it does get passed?
Yeah, I mean, the preliminary talks right now are that there will be GPA requirements, but I think you have to go a lot further than that if you want to make sure you don't end up feeling like the NBA. I mean, college football could feel like the NBA offseason if this rule were to go in effect and let kids just transfer like that. So, yeah, I think there would have to be some restrictions. If not, I mean, it's going to totally change the college football landscape, in my opinion. You'll start seeing, I mean, just think of the situation LSU was in last year with Les Miles. And at the end of the season, how many kids do you think might have transferred out in January had they had no punishment and not had to sit out a year, and they could just transfer willingly and step right on the field at another program? I guarantee you LSU would have lost 6 to 10 guys. And I think that would be the norm at a lot of programs. And I'm really skeptical about this move. I really am. I do like easing the pain a little bit on some of these guys. I think losing 1 year of eligibility when really this is a platform to help. You're trying to pursue a career here, you know, and you're taking one of 4 available years away from a kid. I don't like that. They need to find a way to kind of relieve some of that pressure off of some of these kids. But I don't know if this is the way to go. I have to be honest.
Yeah, Jimmy. I understand maybe they're thinking on that. What if, say, a school gets put on probation and the whole program kind of goes up in shambles, and you want to give the kids relief, or just a coach up and leaves and you're there for a year and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. So I understand it in that point. So it's kind of, you can see where they're coming from, but you kind of spelled out some of the pitfalls.
Yeah, and I think I would put restrictions on, you know, you can't transfer in possibly the first 2 years. Every kid wants to go in and play early. They're instantly frustrated when they realize college is a little more difficult than they thought, and they often sit out the first year and don't get to play as much as they anticipated. And you know, I think maybe you don't allow a freshman or a sophomore to just transfer like that. Or if there's a coaching change, if the head coach were to leave, I think it would be a good rule maybe to implement. You would allow kids to leave as well, and maybe that would slow down some of this craziness in college football with all these coaching changes every year, and it would kind of alleviate some of those situations. So I think there's some things you could put in place that would allow this to happen, to where you would kind of be able to control it to an extent. But if they'd go with just a GPA requirement, I mean, then that's going to be it's going to be like Mardi Gras for college football. It's just going to be chaos.
Yeah, what we would not want to see happen is free agency come to college sports. And you and I both know, Jimmy, that college football coaches will tamper. I mean, they already tamper to some degree with the restrictions. Who knows what will happen if the floodgates are open like this. Now, all right, let me switch gears with you really quickly about the LSU opener. I'm curious to know, what was the reaction in the recruiting community among prospects to LSU's first game, especially Matt Canada's offensive system, because I'm sure a lot of eyes were on that from the offensive prospects around the state and the nation.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a positive step for LSU. When talking to the guys, you know, we've got to remember these are young kids, but they're football players, and they have pretty developed football minds. If you're a Division I program looking at LSU, you've got an eye for the game. You know what you're looking at, and a lot of them understood why LSU ran the ball a lot against BYU. I think we all do. Everybody on this line right now understands it. That's what BYU was giving them, and why not? But what they did notice was the efficiency of the passing game, the rhythm of the passing game. You saw Danny Etling when he took his last step in his drop, that foot hit the ground, the ball was coming out, and you saw different receivers that haven't really made much of an impact in the past starting to get on the field, and different receivers touching the ball. They all had positive things to say about that. I think the position group that really seemed to respond well was the running backs, the young running backs. Kid out of Destrehan, John Emery, had a lot of positive things to say. They understand a lot of those motion packages that Canada deploys are designed to create running lanes for those running backs. And they saw Darius Geis get the ball 20 times in the first half, and Darrell Williams nearly crack 100 yards and have a really successful game with some great runs. And so they really seem to like what they saw, and a lot of the wide receivers who want to play in a pro-style system, they just want to play in a passing game that's efficient, that can get them the ball on third downs, which LSU hasn't been able to do consistently. So this is really starting to appeal to them as well.
Jimmy Smith, our recruiting analyst here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Jimmy, where's Ed Ogeron heading this week? I'm just reading your story. Did not go recruiting on the trail last week, but he's going to hit the road. I guess it's a little easier when you're at home against Chattanooga. You could kind of get out on a Friday night and go check out some potential players.
Yeah, and this is something he did this last week with his assistants. They were on the road when the game was moved back to New Orleans. That allowed them to kind of put some coaches on the road for some of these local programs, and he's hitting the road himself this weekend. This is, believe it or not, this is something Les Miles used to not do during the football season. I saw LSU kind of fall behind on a lot of premier prospects during this stretch from September through November, because their coaches weren't as active recruiting, because he had them tied up in the office and meetings and things of that nature on Fridays. The way Ed Ogeron does it, he seems to be holding early afternoon meetings, allowing guys to get on the road to some local schools early in the morning, and then come back for the meeting, and then head back out to take in some Friday night games. He's planning to be at Landry Walker Carr, big old matchup in New Orleans, two New Orleans powerhouse programs, a lot of premier prospects. He's going to be on hand with OSU wide receiver coach Mickey Joseph. They're going to be able to look at Devontae Jason, Kansas wide receiver commitment that they've been recruiting for a while. They're trying to flip him. Carr's got some outstanding young prospects, and Landry Walker's the defending state champ. So they'll be on those sidelines. I think Corey Raymond will be in Berwick. The defensive back coach, he's the area recruiter, recruiting Keenan Jones, a wide receiver commitment. I think Jeff Grimes will be checking in on one of his commitments, Thomas Perry from 2019 at Turlings Catholic. I think Dennis Johnson was supposed to be in Mississippi, I heard, checking on some maybe under-the-radar defensive lineman prospects. So those coaches are getting out and hitting the trail, and they'll be back late this evening and preparing for a game Saturday.
Jimmy, you had a story Wednesday that I found very interesting about Justin Fields, the one of the top quarterback prospects in the country out of Georgia, who has long been considered a lean toward maybe Penn State. I think he was originally committed to Penn State, also looking heavily at Florida State and Georgia. Now all of a sudden LSU's in the mix. How realistic are their possibility at getting involved with Justin Fields?
Well, gentlemen, to be honest with you, 2 minutes before my phone rang from your producer, my phone rang saying Justin Fields just arrived on LSU's campus, which was kind of surprising news. So I was trying to confirm that as we speak. I'm starting to hear a lot of positive buzz. When a kid goes out and says that a certain school's recruiting him the hardest, and then when you look at the situation that school's in and they have the best opportunity for him, it seems like there's definitely some smoke there to watch, and if he is indeed on campus today, I think that makes a huge statement. It's surprising, high school players generally don't show up on Fridays. I'm guessing he might have a bye week this week. I'm not following his prep career like that, but that'd be an interesting development, and if that is indeed the case, then I think that says a lot about where LSU is in his recruitment. Here, Georgia's fading a little bit. They have some young quarterbacks on their program. He's looking to play early. Everyone I know that has seen this kid in person, I haven't had the luxury of seeing him myself. Everybody raves about the kid. You can see it on film. He's just got moxie. He's a precision passer. He's dynamic. He can do it all with the football. So they seem to be in the race, man. And if he is indeed on campus, that's a huge development for the Tigers.
Jimmy, do you know yet who all will be visiting LSU on Saturday for the Chattanooga game?
Yeah, there's not going to be many guys. More of the local prospects. I think Cameron Wire from East Ascension, a commitment, supposed to be on hand. Don't be surprised to see Kelvin Joseph from Scotlandville on hand. I know they have a linebacker from Georgia named Jacoby McLean, who's going to be on hand. I think he's planning to really look at LSU as a possibility of committing this weekend. I just don't know if the numbers would allow him to do so. So that's certainly something to monitor. So I think it'd be more of your local prospects on hand. They're really starting to prepare for some of those bigger games down the stretch. Auburn seems to be a game a lot of kids are circling on their calendars as games they want to visit. So I think until you get to the bigger SEC schedule home games, I don't know if you're going to see a ton of recruits on the sidelines, but a lot of the local kids will certainly take it in.
Jimmy Smith, our recruiting analyst here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. You can follow him on Twitter at Jimmy Detail. Hey, Jimmy, Great details. Thanks for jumping on the show, and let's catch up with you next week as we kind of hit the round table each week, because people are obviously always eyeing who's where, which coach is going where, which player is going where this weekend. So, Jimmy, great stuff. Appreciate the time, bud.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Talk to you soon.
All right. That's Jimmy Smith, our prep football recruiting analyst. And, hey, look, it's interesting that Les Miles did not go to games, and Ed Orgeron, Eureka, is actually going to go to a game on a Friday night when he's available.
And Ed Orgeron, you have to also consider that his two sons play football at McNeese State. So that's a complication, too, because he has to be a father. He wants to go to as many games for his sons as he can, and then get out on Friday night and recruit. And you're not going to keep Ed Orgeron off the recruiting trail.
Never.
That's how he made his bread and butter.
That's why he is where he is.
He enjoys it. He enjoys the competition of recruiting, and he's one of the best at it. And it sounds like very good news right now for LSU as far as the perception of the program. Very positive from the opener, and also, boy, if you get involved with Justin Fields, one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in America, that's fascinating.
And he would be a couple years from now, so it's not like you'd be running into a log jam with a Miles Brennan and a Lowell Narcisse. So great stuff from Jimmy Smith. Coming up next, it's Clyde's time to shine, or to just go down in flames. College football pick'ems. He's already shaking his head. No, he's ready to dominate. He's going to just let his picks and actions speak for himself.
I'll let my record do the talking.
Yes, it will. Whatever. Fine. We're coming back. I'll embarrass myself again. Here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
This is how we do. We burning down the night, shooting bullets at the moon, baby. This is how we roll.
There's some good games.
Action-packed.
She's at the 5, comes back in. He's in the end zone. Alcalon. He's got it in the end zone.
It's been good. No, it's been good.
Hard hit.
Running left side on the Aruna's got him. Asking you, shall Rosado did it.
They're doing well.
We win.
This is Tulane football. Tulane and Navy. This Saturday from Annapolis. Live coverage begins at 1:30 on your home for the Wave.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Low prices every day.
Nifty Car Rental. Best rates, best service, and best vehicles. Free pickup, delivery, and drop-off. 504-525-4551. Be Nifty. All Nifty.
Low prices every day.
Our sold-out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
iHeartRadio.
September 22nd and 23rd at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas.
No, you haven't seen it too inflammatory.
First words are up on.
No. However,
What the?
Tuesday or Wednesday,
Never stops with unlimited data from T-Mobile.
awesome.
Switch to America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile, to stream all you want, where you want. Top 3% of data users over 32 gigs a month may notice reduced speeds. Capable device required.
It's time to shop at Macy's.
Something special going on?
That's it. Specials. Hundreds of them.
Hundreds of specials?
Hundreds. Fashion for you, me, the kids, jewelry, shoes.
Anything special for the home?
Yep. Hundreds of specials for every room.
I was like, and we get an extra 20 or 15% off.
With our Macy's Carter Savings Pass.
Okay, let's go.
You're coming?
Well, yeah, I'm special too.
Aw, just get in the car.
It's time to shop at Macy's. Extra savings exclusions apply, including special savings on sale prices.
Oh no. Kelsey Ballerina.
All right, 30 seconds, guys.
Is probably getting to go explore places. I definitely do get homesick, but I also love getting home at the end of a long run and just feeling like I got to share my music and
Yeah, sing it, sing it.
presented by Glade.
All right, coming back.
Venture with new Glade plugins car. Pick one up at your nearest retailer or visit Glade.com to learn more.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Our YouTube Live listeners get all the real scoop of why I was really panicked this morning, even though I am still a little panicked about the long snapper. But they got the real scoop of my panicked insanity the past couple of days.
I think we need to have a ready supply of Xanax in here for you.
Something's wrong with y'all's mics. They're low.
Are we able to, like, get a sponsorship for that? I'm not sure.
I don't know if you want a drug sponsorship in this country right now.
Probably not.
Just saying.
I'll stay away. Yeah, exactly. So,
I think the Saints might have been able to handle that a few years ago.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry.
That went away.
Friday. By the way, I think Country Fried Friday could have a subcategory of Fiddle Friday because we just heard some great fiddle music.
What about Fiddlesticks, as in Fiddlesticks like in Caddyshack? Can we do that?
We could. Yes, we could do anything. It's our show.
It's just the question is, how many people do you actually want to listen?
Hey.
It's a question.
More than 5.
That's fair.
All right, so.
Well, where is Clyde going to start gloating?
But first.
Well, what? Oh, yeah.
You have some breaking news. Come on, man.
Totally forgetting. Okay, this is from our recruiting analyst who we just had on, Jimmy Smith. He texted me to confirm that Justin Fields is heading to LSU for an official visit. That's confirmed. So this weekend, Justin Fields, the top dual threat quarterback in America.
Is that for the 19 class?
No, 18.
For the 18 class.
No,
he's the guy.
He is the top dual threat quarterback. He originally committed to Penn State. They're still in the mix, but he's from Kennesaw, Georgia. Everybody thought he was headed to Georgia or Florida State. LSU now actively involved. And Jimmy Smith's story this week said that the kid himself said that LSU coaches are recruiting him harder than anybody and that they are more involved with him than anybody right now. So LSU staff getting it done.
Encouraging news if you're a Tigers fan. There's no doubt about this. So, all right. Clyde's time to shine.
Yeah.
He's literally doing the Cabbage Patch. You can't see him in our YouTube live. He is doing the Cabbage Patch.
Which is also a good reason why I'm not on air.
That's a good thing.
Well, we look like goobs on the air anyway. So
yeah, well, I'm just trying to add to the flavor of the show, guys.
There you go. All right. We got our 10 games. We don't know which games they are.
Nope. What was the records? Let's just refresh the listeners' memory.
Where's the sheet of integrity?
Was that
10-0?
I was 10-0. Is that what I was?
I threw it away.
I'm pretty sure no.
Oh, there's no record.
You both were terrible. I was markedly.
Clyde
fantastic.
was 7-3.
Yes.
We were both 4-6 against the spread.
3 games. That's 3 games. We'll make that up this week.
Sure you will, Jeff. You tell yourself that, bro.
Awesome. All right, let's go.
What do we got? What do we got this week?
So obviously now, since I've been handed and tasked with coming up with the games this week, I have got the 10 games of doom. And including one that did not have a spread. I'll let you guess which one that is, but I'm not going to tell you. And I made one up, so we're going to start off.
You made up a spread?
I made up a spread.
What kind of game is this?
I think you're going to like it. But we'll get to that later.
I think we made a mistake letting Clyde pick these.
Clearly. And you'll learn this over the course of our time here, is that the more things you give me, the worse it's going to be. So, game number 1, throwing a bone to, of course, our esteemed Jeff Duncan. Louisville on the road at North Carolina. Louisville, a 10-point favorite. On the road at North Carolina, Mr. Duncan.
I'm laying the points because Louisville could not play any worse than they did in the opener. I think they're going to rebound this week. Lay the lumber. Lay the 10.
I am going to go North Carolina because I don't think Brandon Harris is going to play quarterback, and I think they've got a better shot than they did last week. So I'm going North Carolina.
I also, look, I'm really, really concerned because I'm doing this again. After yesterday and what we saw yesterday, I'm agreeing with Larry, but this is hopefully the only time I'm agreeing with Larry. I also, Brandon Harris probably is not playing in this game. It's really unfortunate because obviously this is really his last shot to do anything well at North Carolina. And of course, we talked about it a couple days ago. Larry Fedora is supposed to be a quarterback guru. Got to go with North Carolina here just because Louisville still has some questions to answer.
Yeah, like just getting the snap.
And not fumbling going towards the end zone.
10 false starts in their opener. 10.
Mercy.
Is that a record? It's got to be a record.
No, it probably is. All right, game number 2, TCU at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 3-point favorite in Hog Country. Larry.
I am going to go TCU.
I'm with you on that. TCU. Horned Frogs getting the points.
Make it 3 times a charm, going with TCU as well.
Whoa.
Arkansas. Now, granted, Arkansas is usually good at these games, but gotta give it to TCU when it's that close. Game number 3, another SEC matchup, although out of SEC country. Georgia at Notre Dame. Notre Dame laying 4.5. Georgia on the road.
So Georgia is a 4-point favorite, is what you're saying.
4.5, yes.
At Notre Dame.
They
probably have a freshman quarterback making his first start. He came in relief last week against Appalachian State and lit it up. You know what? I'm going to go with Georgia. No, I don't trust the Irish. Never trust Notre Dame.
No, wait.
Ever.
Notre Dame is favored, right? Notre Dame is favored now.
Oh no, here we go.
Wait, hold on. Let me check my sources.
I'm looking online.
And I'm definitely going Georgia.
It says Notre Dame's favored.
Oh, I'm sorry. I read that one backwards. Yes, Notre Dame is the favorite.
I'm definitely Georgia.
How do we get Clyde involved?
Sorry. Hey, look, I had to do this while I'm listening to the show, okay? I got one wrong.
You know what? That line is so out of whack. From my old days working in Monroe at the Monroe News Star, our old sports editor, Greg Hilburn, used to tell me, that's a trap, Jeff. Recognize the trap. Use the trap to your advantage. I'm going with Notre Dame. I'm laying the points. It's too out of whack.
Why is it too out of whack?
Notre Dame's a 5-point favorite over Georgia. I don't know.
So you think Notre Dame should stomp them?
I think they're going to stomp them because that line is so crazy. It's trying to get you to take Georgia. That's what the Vegas
we've established in these odds-making games, I'm a sucker, so I'm taking the sucker bet, Georgia.
Sucker bet. Okay, you heard it here first, guys. Larry's a sucker. Next game.
Who did you pick?
I'm sorry. I'm also going with Notre Dame. Sorry, totally forgot about that.
Okay. All right.
Next game, Stanford at USC. USC, 6-point favorite.
Sam Darnold did not look like the Manhattan boy who might be the number one pick for the Jets. So I am going to go Stanford.
I'm taking Southern Cal, going opposite Larry in every pick, I think.
I think we had one.
The only one is TCU currently, but yes, I'm also going with Jeff and going with USC.
I'm so bad at this. Why do we even do this? This is just to embarrass me.
Look, when y'all get to make fun of me on Monday for my picks, I don't want to hear nothing. Well, I guess Larry too. It doesn't matter.
So bad.
It seems kind of crazy that the Pac-12 would have a massive game like that in week 2.
A divisional game too.
Right off the bat. Shouldn't that be played later in November or December?
Well, I thought usually it was. I don't know. Oh, well.
Well, the Pac-12 has kind of moved around a lot of games because, of course, the talk about it is going towards the end of the year. There's not enough momentum for the Pac-12 getting into the playoffs, so you have a couple of these games early, but then you're really trying to push a lot of those back divisionally to get some more pub that way. All right, so really one of the bigger games of the week, Oklahoma at Ohio State. Ohio State favored in this game, 7.5 points. Jeff.
Give me the Sooners getting the points. 7.5, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take those points.
I'm going to continue the trend and go against Jeff, and I'll take Ohio State.
That's a massive game. Look, Ohio State's probably the best team in the country outside Alabama, but maybe even better than Alabama.
It may be better than Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama had a big win, but I think it's going to be those two teams playing each other in the national championship game.
Yeah. I mean, this could be an early, who knows what happens, because, clearly you're talking about the Big Ten going against the Big 12. One of these, both these teams, if they end up still, whoever wins this game, whoever loses this game is still going to be in the hunt. It might be an early college football playoff matchup. Yep. So I am also going with Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to keep it close. I don't necessarily think they're going to win, but
I'm so bad at this. Close. I'm already dreading after Saturday. I'm just going to be getting texts from Jeff and Clyde.
Or he's going to tweet at you and try to embarrass you on, on Twitter as well.
That's a given.
All right, so the next game, national champs hosting the Auburn Tigers, the Clemson Tigers. So one Death Valley we're going to knock out of the way, the not real Death Valley. But Clemson favored by 5 points over Auburn. This one is a very good question mark because, again, national champs against Auburn. Larry.
Where's the game?
Death Valley, Clemson.
See, I'm not even paying attention.
Clemson, as they say.
I will go Clemson. I don't trust Auburn. I just never trust Auburn.
I'm with you. I'm going Clemson as well. I think Auburn's in for a rude awakening at that venue.
Make it 3 for 3, going to the next one. So it was, once we got past, a couple of these games, these next ones are hopefully going to be the ones to maybe give Larry a little bit of a bone.
Give me hope.
So, Pitt at Penn State. Penn State is at home. Penn State is a favorite by 22 points over Pitt.
I'm going Pitt.
I'm with you. I'm going with Sir Lawrence.
Yes.
Taking the points. It's a rivalry game, but I think Pitt beat Penn State last year.
The Mad Canada-less Pitt.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going with I'm taking the points.
Well, if they lose by 20, then I'm good. Right. So there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. I agree.
I did that last time with Indiana, and they hosed me. Nonsense last week.
Well, now the last 3 games are all going to be local. So the first one, though, is local, but a little bit further north of us. Mississippi State at Louisiana Tech. Mississippi State is favored in this game by 8.5 points. State on the road.
Nick Fitzgerald.
At Joel Elliott Stadium.
And a preview of LSU's next opponent.
Yep.
I will go La Tech.
Okay.
I'm taking the Bulldogs as well. I got a little
Which Bulldogs?
Louisiana Tech. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. See, that's why I did this one too.
I'm taking the Bulldogs too. Either of them.
The maroon and cream, the maroon and white, or the red and blue.
I'm taking Tim Rattay and the McCown's U.
That's a long time ago, Larry.
I know. That's how old we are.
A little trivia for you. The quarterback at Louisiana Tech is Jamar Smith. He's a sophomore from Meridian, Mississippi. You know who his father is?
I do not.
I'm forgetting his name. His dad played for the Saints. Kenny Smith. Remember Kenny Smith?
Oh, okay, I do.
Was kind of a random rotational defensive back.
Yes.
This is his son playing quarterback.
There you go.
For Louisiana Tech. Little trivia for you.
There you go.
I'm actually going to deviate away from this one. I think Mississippi State, knowing how the SEC is and knowing how Mississippi State is in these games, I actually think Mississippi State will actually pull away late and start to get some garbage points off of turnovers, things like that, and pull away from Louisiana Tech late. All right, so locally, first game, Tulane at Navy. Navy is a 12-point favorite at home, the Midshipmen against the Green Wave. Jeff Duncan.
I like the Green Wave to cover. Now, I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think they're going to play them close. So it's 12, right?
12.
The line is 12?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take those 12.
This is not good. I love you, Todd. I'm going Navy.
Midshipman.
I'm going to Midshipman.
All right.
So obviously, I think Navy's going to win that game.
I haven't made my pick. I'm struggling.
You got to make it.
Yeah, I know. I'm struggling with this one just for the fact that you're right. We talked about it earlier this week. We talked about it with Todd. Tulane, obviously, with their win over Grambling, who is still going to be a very, very good, solid power in the SWAC and Black College football. That was a very good statement win. I just don't know, especially after what we saw on Monday night with Tennessee and Georgia Tech. That triple option, you've got to be sound in your defensive game. You've got to make tackles, and you can't get overloaded with trying to figure out what you're going to do. I think Navy takes this one. Sorry, Tulane, but I like Navy in this one. And, of course, so we get to the last game. And this
is a made-up spread.
This one did not have a spread.
11 billion.
I'm telling you guys, I looked everywhere. I looked high and low. I scoured Google. I scoured the Googles for a spread. There's no spread for this game because literally I don't think there's anybody on this planet with a sound mind would put a number on this game after what they saw LSU do to BYU. However, I still feel like after seeing some spreads around the country for Alabama and whoever they're playing and all the rest of these games with 22-plus point spreads, I said, why not try it? 22 points, LSU over Chattanooga.
22, LSU.
22. They'll have that at halftime.
LSU, easy. LSU might win by 40.
I wanted to do a straight pick 'em for this one, but I felt like that wouldn't be fun. So
Jacksonville State beat them by 14.
Clyde would shut down Vegas with that spread.
I'll lay the 22, Clyde.
All right.
If you were a bookie, I'd be unloading on that.
I would bet my house on LSU.
And no disrespect to Chattanooga, but come on. 22?
Well, yes, disrespect to Chattanooga. Yes, they're going to get trounced.
Might not score.
They might not score. However, you never know. Sometimes these games are a little
22.
funky. All right, so just recapping the 10 games of doom, and we'll see where we are. So Louisville at North Carolina. Larry went with Louisville. Jeff went with North Carolina.
No, we don't want to recap all these again.
No, we're not going to recap all these again. All right, well, that's what we have. So I will keep tabs of this over the course of the weekend. I will let you guys know periodically how you are doing or how bad you're doing, specifically how great I'm doing.
Of course. But if he does bad, it's going to be crickets. I promise
absolutely.
you that.
Hey, man, I'm a man of integrity.
Clyde and I are either going to be gloating or we're going to be
because I went against the grain on plenty of picks. So, all right. Well, we will see what happens when we come back here on Monday. But coming up next here on the show, we will go up to Minneapolis. Mark Craig, Vikings beat writer for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, will jump on the show. He's covered Adrian Peterson for a long time. Had a really good story with him probably, a week ago?
Yeah, I think it ran Sunday.
Okay, and so we will talk with Mark Craig about Adrian Peterson's return to Minnesota here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app for Dunc and Holder.
Tearing me down, it's been a while since you treated me right. You strung me along for far too long, cause I never gave up the fight.
How different am I?
Your forecast on Sports.
All right, who we
Mark Craig. Yeah,
TJ Martell Foundation.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz. A beautiful end of the work week into the weekend. We're expecting mostly sunny skies. Temperatures low to mid 80s, overnight lows upper 50s on the north shore to lower 60s south. So again, we'll feel no effects from Irma at all. Now, Hurricane Irma does continue to work to the west-northwest. Winds at about 150, expecting to make landfall in South Florida as early as Saturday morning through the mid-afternoon. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Church, asking you to join me in the fight against leukemia, cancer, and AIDS through the TJ Martell Foundation. Your support helps facilitate cutting-edge research that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives. Visit tjmartell.org to learn about music's promise for a cure.
When you work as hard as you do, you deserve to sleep harder every night. That's why Mattress Firm is extending its Labor Day sale through Tuesday, and all mattresses are still on sale, like Hampton and Rhodes Queen mattresses starting at $99.99. And get over 50% off a Beauty Rest Queen mattress, now just $299.99. Plus, through Tuesday, get a free adjustable base with select purchases. Only.
All right, we got Mark Craig. Who is he?
He's with the Minneapolis Star Tribune. He covers the Vikings.
Minneapolis Star Tribune. I'm just going to write newspaper guy.
How many times?
Vikings guy.
Is the most decorated figure skater in U.S. history.
But I had a dream. My dream came true because I dedicated myself.
All right, 15 seconds.
Gel Quantum Champion.
I was passionate about something, and I made sure that I worked hard for it.
And dedication can make your dreams a reality.
Whatever your dream and goals are, they can come true.
Dedication. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Going deep on the teams you care about. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder, live at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios at the foot of Canal Street. Now joining us on the show, Mark Craig covers the Vikings and the NFL for the Minneapolis Star Tribune. You can follow him on Twitter at Mark Craig NFL. And Mark, your story that you wrote that ran a few days ago on Adrian Peterson's gotten a lot of traction here in New Orleans. Of course, we know the storyline. Everyone's heard the storyline for months, and you've covered Adrian Peterson for a long time with the Vikings. What do you think his mindset is going to be walking into U.S. Bank Stadium Monday night against a team he has so long played for, and now he's on the other side of the field?
Oh, my goodness. I think he'll want to obliterate any defender in front of him. We saw some of this with Adrian before, and even he spoke to this about how you need to guard against being too amped up because, we've had quarterbacks here and linemen and fullbacks that, Adrian is so quick and powerful and explosive, and I think physically he's still like that. Maybe not to the degree he was when he first came in, but he would just run through the design of the play, and he would beat the fullback to the hole, and that's why sometimes you'd see him get hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot because he wasn't allowing the play to unfold. So I think he's got to balance this incredible strength and power that he has, and speed and quickness with playing within the framework of the play, I think.
Mark, I'm curious. I just was seeing the comments from Adrian Peterson on the conference call with the Minneapolis media this week, and he went into great detail about his meniscus injury he had last year. And I don't know, I'm reading between the lines here, but you would have better insight than I would. Was there a little conflict over how that was handled, and did that lead to him maybe moving on from Minnesota, do you think?
No, I think what led to him moving off Minnesota was just that $18 million contract for this year. And then, like you see with a lot of players, I mean, Adrian had told me that he would consider, a counter offer, but I tend to think that, these guys, especially when they have the status that he has, they're a lot more willing to take less money to go elsewhere. Now, that being said, the Vikings were ready to move on, just because, at some point, when you, especially the way this is in New Orleans. I mean, here they were built around Adrian Peterson, and whenever that pin fell, it took the whole thing down. And in New Orleans, it's obviously Drew Brees' team is a completely different offense. He's just a complementary part. So I don't know that he would have been that here, because there isn't the same talent and explosiveness on offense. So I think it was a parting that was actually both sides were happy with. Considering that he only played parts of 3 games last year.
Mark Craig covers the Vikings for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Join us right here on Dunc and Holder. You can follow him on Twitter at MarkCraigNFL. Mark, when Adrian has spoken about his role in New Orleans, he understands he's not going to be the bell cow guy. And, some people, it sounds like lip service. To me, it sounds pretty genuine that he is good with the role he has. And when you talked with him, what do you feel like he feels within this offense? That is he good with it, or do you feel like he's really kind of not, and would like to kind of show that he can still hack it 25 carries a game?
Well, I think Adrian he's excited to try and prove them that they should be the bell cow. That if he were to come out and hit an 80-yard run and then a 20-yard run, and he runs for 100, in Adrian's mind, he's capable of running 150 yards a game and all this stuff. He feels like if he does that, then obviously the Saints are going to make arrangements to get him the ball more, and he will be that guy. I think that's where his goal is. That's where he's going to mentally. But I also think that if it doesn't go that way, he knows where he's at. He knows that that's Drew Brees' team. But there's part of Adrian that's always going to be, I think his whole life is trying to prove people wrong, which is you see that with a lot of players, but with him it's to the extreme, and he's done it before. So yeah, I think his feeling is, hey, I'm 32, but the Saints are a passing team, but if I show who I am, I'm going to get the ball a lot, and we'll see if that happens. I don't see it happening just because we've seen that offense for 12, 13, however many years it is since Brees has been there. So I think he wants to get the ball more, but if he doesn't produce the way he thinks that he should, he will. Then he knows where he's at. He's not going to be complaining about it, I don't think.
Mark, this will be the Saints' first visit to U.S. Bank Stadium, which of course will host the Super Bowl later this season. And we talked to Sean Payton about that. They actually have a scouting report on the stadium. They've done all their research on the building. I'm curious, we covered a lot of games in the old Metrodome. That place was incredibly loud. How does it compare to the old Metrodome in terms of the noise level? And the Saints do so much at the line of scrimmage with Drew Brees and audibles. I'm curious to see how that's going to affect them on Monday night.
Yeah, I think it's loud. I don't think it'll ever be as loud as the Metrodome, just because, when you go inside, you had the feeling that the Metrodome could fit in there 3 times. The Metrodome was just you were so, teams always say they felt claustrophobic being in there on the field because everything was down, so close, and it was such it was 55,000 seats, but it was just kind of on top of the field. And then of course the Vikings are been accused over the years of piping in some artificial noise as well. But to me, it's loud, but I just don't see it. They'll have difficulty, especially by it being Monday night, being Adrian and everything. It's going to be crazy, but I don't think it can match the noise of what the Metrodome did in its heyday.
Mark Craig covers the Vikings for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Mark, I look at this matchup, strength on strength, weakness versus weakness. Saints offense versus the Vikings D, and the Vikings offense versus the Saints D. How much improved do you feel like the Vikings offense is? And at this rate, defensively, everything I've seen that they're one of the top units in the NFL. Is that kind of the way you see it? And again, how did the offense improve?
Well, we just don't know. It's the offensive line that will line up on Monday night. It'll be the first snap that they've had together in live action. They started off with Riley Reif missing time in training camp in the first 2 preseason games, and then Alex Boone was at left guard, and then he missed the the second preseason game, and then he got cut, which was kind of a surprise because he was the prized free agent last year. You got a rookie at center, and you got the guy that he was competing with at center now playing left guard in Nick Easton. The right tackle is Mike Remmers, who hasn't had a very good preseason. So to me, they went out in free agency. They got 2 new tackles, and I think they might be better than what they had last year, because last year they used 12 linemen, including 5 left tackles. But when a guy's in his late 20s and he's durable and he's available in free agency, that's usually a red flag. So I think it'll be better, but I think they have to prove it first before we say, hey, the line's better, therefore the offense will be better.
Mark, we saw an incredible breakout performance by Kareem Hunt last night, rookie running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's going to be 2 good ones in this game Monday night, the Saints, Alvin Kamara, and, of course, Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. What has been your impression so far of Cook, and is he the guy in the backfield now to replace Adrian Peterson?
Well, there'll never be I shouldn't say never, but right now there's not. They've moved away from that. 10 years of building an offense around a running back. Cook will be the starter and get, probably the majority of the time. But Latavius Murray is a free agent that they got in free agency, and he has, he and Dalvin and Jerick McKinnon all have. They're versatile. They can catch the ball out of the backfield, and the one thing that they've been talking about is having these more running backs that aren't one-dimensional. So you're going to see a lot more people being moved in and out of the backfield than we've ever seen before when Adrian was healthy.
Mark Craig covers the Vikings for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. You could follow him on Twitter at MarkCraigNFL. Hey, Mark, appreciate the time. And Jeff and I will see you in U.S. Bank Stadium come Monday night. Appreciate it, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That's Mark Craig. Some insight on Adrian Peterson. Let's take one final break here on Dunc and Holder, and we will hear a little bit from Drew Brees. He spoke with the media yesterday. We'll hear some of his thoughts heading into Monday night's game. So come on back. One more segment on a Friday, Country Fried Friday, here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app.
Such a strange combination of a woman and a child. Such a strange situation, stopping every 100 miles, calling Baton Rouge.
Have you ever had way too much to drink at an LSU game and woke up shirtless in the bed of your truck the next morning? Yeah, me neither. Just asking. It's the Josh Ennis Show, weekdays at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Bet you didn't know this. Broadcast radio reaches more people in America than TV. Yeah, AM/FM radio. The radio that's free in your car, your kitchen.
All right, we got Brother in Metairie on the line.
Reaches more adults, teens, and millennials.
If we don't get to all the Breeze, we will certainly play it on
Broadcast
Monday,
radio.
Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever.
That's bigger than TV, Facebook, and...
All right, I'm glad you said that, because I actually had it set to time out and delete after today.
Okay, yeah, don't.
AM/FM radio.
We can certainly
Sports
play it
1280 encourages you to do what you can
we will
to
be
help
in
out the
Minneapolis
victims of the
on
recent
Monday.
hurricanes. You can
Tuesday.
drop
Ooh, ain't you fancy?
Yeah.
trees at our building, 929 Howard Avenue in downtown New Orleans. We've also partnered with Educational Products Incorporated to support the Flood Relief School Supply Drive. To replace school supplies lost in the flooding, go to sports1280.com. A message from Sports 1280 Communities, helping to make a difference in New Orleans.
Sports 1280, New Orleans. Instant replay. Josh Ennis. Afternoons noon until 2.
They did everything they could to get him a head job. He said, Coach, I'm coming to LSU unless I get a head job, and I want a head job.
What did you want?
Are you Jim, this is why are you being so perverse? I'm not even attempting to be perverse here, and this is the direction you're taking this.
I'm sorry, what did he want?
I'm assuming they did everything they could to get him a head job, but he was honest with us. He said, Coach, I'm coming to LSU unless I get a head job, and I want a head job. Stop laughing.
I'm just happy that we got Coach O.
Then we hear about Florida Atlantic, and we didn't think he'd take that. But he calls and says, hey, man, I'm coming. I've got one more meeting, and I'm just going to listen to them. Ended up, he took the job.
What kind of job?
He said he was going to take the LSU job unless he gets a head job, and he wanted a head job.
I mean, that's what we all strive for.
I was thinking about that when I was getting my massage in Las Vegas, actually.
Listen live weekdays on Sports 1280 and the free iHeartRadio app, or catch up at sports1280.com.
The Red Cross depends on financial donations to be able to provide disaster relief immediately. Help people affected by Hurricane Harvey by visiting redcross.org, calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, or texting the word Harvey to 90999 to make a donation.
I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Do you know Hank Williams is back on Monday Night Football?
Is he? I didn't know that.
Look, no. I'm fairly positive.
Yes, that's true. I think it's only for this year only.
He's out of the doghouse, didn't he?
Yes, of course, he's in the doghouse.
Politically.
Yeah, he said some things he shouldn't have been saying.
Right. So he might be out. He might be in for like a week. He might be out after 1 week for all I know. But yeah, he's
Josh
back.
Innes coming up next. He's taking bets on how long he'll last before they cut him.
Coming over tonight.
Oh, Cephas.
Oh, boy. Yeah, should be interesting. So let's squeeze in a phone call here. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved in the next, literally 5 minutes. So, Brother in Metairie. Brother, thanks for calling.
How you guys doing today?
What's up, buddy?
How you guys doing?
We're good.
All right, man, every time I start to feel good about this team, something else happens. What they gonna do with the long snapper? Is there somebody they're gonna go out there and get, or what they gonna do, guys?
Well, hey, brother, appreciate the phone call. They've got to go get somebody. But, yeah, now I was calming down.
I know, you stirred him up, brother.
And now I'm back because
Where's the Xanax?
Because, yeah, the first 20 minutes of the show, I was all in a panic. Well, just because you hear this is a life and death situation. If they don't catch this, it could kill the guy. And so, that's something that kind of, pops up in your face. You can't believe that this is happening, but kudos to the Saints medical staff who did catch it. You got to give them kudos. I know you did on Twitter, and I retweeted you, Jeff, and they deserve credit. But, yeah, they absolutely need to go find someone, and you got to do it in a hurry.
Look, there's 10 long snappers that were cut earlier this week. They might bring back one of the guys that they had in camp, Chase Dominguez, or the veteran they had in. I'm not ready to panic. I mean, it's just the deep snapper. It's not. There's got to be more than 32 of these people in the world. They'll find somebody, get them plugged in, and no one's going to notice unless, of course, somebody dribbles one back to to the holder on Monday night in that environment. But I'm sure they would prefer to get a veteran because they're going to be thrown right into the fire. This is going to be an incredible environment. And if it comes down to a game-winning field goal, can you imagine? You're already getting worked up again. Look at you.
This is why it is a big deal. You just mentioned why it would be a big deal. You just mentioned it. Game-winning field goal. You've never seen this guy snap you the ball. They had an issue. I don't know if it was Darren Boss's fault or Lutz's fault, but Lutz hit the kick low and it got blocked.
It was Lutz's fault. Peyton even said it. He said the operation was fine. The snap was fine. The hold was fine. That's Will Lutz. He's got a low trajectory.
Kicker is a very fickle mentally spot on
I agree.
the field, and if you tinker with it, bad things could happen. And we've seen enough bad things happen with the kick operation from 2016 where you lose in New York because the only touchdown they score is on a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. You lose against Denver because it's blocked and run back for 2 and you lose. So if none of those things have happened, I'd have been like, man, I wish the best for Doran Boss, and that would be the extent of it because the concern would be more about his health. But no, there is the other concern in that they will have potentially their 6th long snapper that they've had since, April? Yeah.
My point is whoever they bring in has long snapped for a significant amount of time and knows what they're doing. They're not bringing you or me in to snap. They're bringing in somebody that plays that position and has done it for a while, I'm assuming. There's not just 32 long snappers in the world, and that's it. There's a bunch of other ones that have done it throughout their college careers. I think they'll plug somebody in, and no one's even going to think about it.
I'm going to think about it.
Well, I know you are. You're thinking about it now.
And I'm going to let our listeners think about it because I'm going to keep hammering at home.
I think I'll sense a Larry Holder column on Monday. The long snapper.
Forget must win.
Why wait? Give it to us tomorrow.
Forget must win. Goodness. I'm going to write a column on this. It's insanity.
I will say this about the game, though, switching gears a little bit. I think it's going to be critical for the Saints to get a lead early and control. Peyton always likes to talk about controlling the game. They need to get control of this game and take the crowd out of it if you can. Obviously, last night, New England jumped on a quick lead. That place was in a frenzy, and that's what impressed me the most about Kansas City was they were able to get control of the game after it looked like it was spinning out of control early. That's very difficult to do on the road. I think the Saints need early success and quiet that crowd and kind of get some confidence.
And if they get you get ahead, and it shows that the Vikings defense is human, and then B, it puts pressure on the Vikings offense, which I'm not buying the Vikings offense.
I'm not buying it either.
So if the Saints can play and as well as they have in the preseason on defense, I already put my prediction out there.
What is it?
It's first in my 1st and 10 column. I picked Saints 24, Vikings 20. I'm picking the Saints to pull off the straight-up win.
I could see that happen. I picked the Vikings in a close game, but I think the Saints can easily win this game. But I just think rookie left tackle, I think things are going to get crazy.
40 seconds.
Well, that's going to wrap up our Friday show. Our Monday and Tuesday shows, we will be in Minneapolis at our iHeart Studios up there. So we'll be on site for Saints Vikings. So want to thank Mark Craig, want to thank Jimmy Smith, want to thank Jim Derry, want to thank Dave for getting Country Fried Friday back up. I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it.
And I hear a little fiddle coming on.
Exactly. So
safe travels, guys.
Appreciate it, Clyde.
10 seconds.
So Monday we'll be on the road, Minneapolis. Sports1280NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul because I think I'm better than you.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.
Hi, Dave. Thanks,
safe,
buddy.
And then whatever.
Yeah. And then hang on to those Breeze ones. We're gonna play them all Monday. Like it'll be big time preview stuff.